with that, does anybody have any questions, or am I just getting right into the hand? Questions? No questions? We're good?
Good.
Good? Cool. Very similar to what we did, but I'm doing it a little different, of course. So now the way she's presenting, wrist, hand off the table, which is fine. By the way, in general, I do not want someone if I just say lie on your side facing me, and this is the way she goes, other than make sure the pillow prop is decent, or if I have to do a leg prop. Now, again, not to pick on her, I think she's fine, but she does, because she's a tall drink of water and she's skinny, there's quite a bit of an angle. She might feel she has bony knees, I don't know. So I wouldn't think twice to put a little something in between her legs if she needed it. But I'm not gonna offer it per se. Also, today is a little, let's say, on the nippy side. In my office, I have these nice little blankets that I use mainly for the kids on the floor, because I hate to see them in car seats sleeping and things like that. And I have class. But I would put a blanket maybe on top of her too. And if you don't think I can't get a lesson through a parka, I can. As far as just setting up, or some people's tootsies might get a little cold, and I'll throw something on that. You'll see when people start to rub or even so much as shiver. What?
Would you like this?
No,
No?
no.
Thank you. All right.
Sorry, I thought you were fanning her after.
Wasn't it like a surprise?
Do you want the window shut, Michelle?
No, it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I'm just giving
Yeah.
people a heads up, just because we're comfortable when you're on the table, that person gets a little relaxed, and I don't want her to be chilly, just like I don't want her to be in pain per se.
Right.
The biggest problem is my office is I have a bit of welcome to 50 and sweat my body to death, and so I run my office on the cold side, which, I'll see people like Stuart in shorts, but his little jumper on and stuff, and can't you just warm it up here in a bit? I'm like, oh, and then I died in the check. Oh my God, it's just, you can see some of my videos, it's just sweating, there's no air conditioning. So what I'm doing here, again, she's presented myself on the table, she's comfortable. I'm not holding her hand, but I'm supporting her hand. Again, I'm not doing this hand over hand thing, I'm not doing this hand over hand. I'm not saying I don't use that technique, but I really want to see where her weight transfer is. Now, what I did yesterday was more, with Vanessa, was more with the hand wrist. And now I'm doing a bit more elbow to shoulder. So my movement here, underneath, sort of like seaweed in water. Now it might feel and be a bit more regulated because I'm now attaching to her system, but each finger is a little bit different. Now here, see, this is staccato. So I take that as I went too far. But again, it's not that I hurt her or anything, so I don't mind bringing it a little further sometimes just to see where she's at. Good morning. I was wondering where all you guys are at.
Good morning. Hello.
Morning.
Are you with the group?
Oh, yes. There.
Okay. And then also now if I go under the elbow, her shoulder's a little heavy. So with that, now when I hold like this is an old trick that I still steal. What I do is I keep holding the system until her system says, oh, Michelle's gonna hold my arm, I don't have to do it anymore. That's one of the few feldy tricks that I keep in my pocket, but as far as the touch goes. But really in general, my touch is still like, the ocean water comes up, hangs out for a second, and then goes back. And if you notice too, again, it's a light rotation, the water comes up. Water doesn't come up here and there. It comes up through, because the waves always come in sideways, and it interacts with the sand and it comes back down that way. So I come up, I hold for a second, a nice long pause, and then going back down. But again, notice I haven't lifted her whole hand or arm. Now she's starting to. Now her back's starting to play with me. Now, also too, every touch I do, I think is a little bit different. I'm not sitting here going, 1. See, look at the difference already for her. 2, 3. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is that this is the beginning of her reaching for that ball. But when I say that, I'm not going, come on, reach for that ball, which she's more than capable of doing. But I'm just saying, I'm looking for the intent or the initiation. You'll really see this again with Oscar today. I have the 3-week-old coming in at 10 o'clock, just so you guys know. You really see that with Oscar, that I look to see if they are initiating the movement. If they are, great, then I stimulate it, and then I enhance it. Really, that's the 3 easy steps to. So any movement, it doesn't matter if I'm working with Alona or you or a baby. First, I just see, can that person just initiate that movement? And they might be able to initiate the big movement, right? But can they initiate it just within, let's say, this little section of the bicep? So it's sort of like I'm doing a movement dissection, if that makes more sense. And I'm just in here going in, see now here, I've got my finger still on her elbow. The weight transfer is different. So see how nice that goes? I go up literally, now I kept my pinky here, I'm just up a little bit, sort of like playing the clarinet. And her weight transfer is different with that rotation. And here, she gets quite heavy. And this is the biggest thing you really want to learn, because especially people that are into, that's okay, athletics and so forth, they're really into this biomechanics, and for some reason they think the action happens at the elbow. How that, I get it, the elbow exists, but if you think movement originates from here, I just don't see. It is a lever, but it's not a functional movement. I can do this till the cows come home. I can't comb my hair or feed my face. So it's not only until you start having that interaction with the entire body that whole thing is. And 2, that's the last thing I think of it is, because again, that's not, I'm always looking to how that humerus initiates and changes life with the ulna. And you'll see that with people with tennis elbow, all of those kind of things, carpal tunnel, where that manipulation of space is just not fluid. Now, I'm a little jealous still of Vanessa yesterday, who was like, oh, look at my hand.
Just place it.
Back there. Do I look like her at all?
So just for those who don't know, that's the humerus, that's the radius, and that's the ulna, the little finger side.
And the ulna goes into the elbow like was it an Allen wrench? No, not an Allen wrench. What's the wrench? Who's the man that actually knows what a wrench is? It's not Stuart. The spanner. But anyway, that it comes in and then it torques. Yeah, but no, it actually goes in and grabs. If you look underneath the ulna, it's actually like a little wrench, and it takes the humerus. Okay, go for it. The doctor's coming in.
Yeah. You said that the movement doesn't begin here. I understand it begins here, but the movement could begin here and go there. I think I am sitting. I can begin movement here, and it will go some direction. What do you mean by saying?
Well, okay, when you say you're doing that, what you don't realize is that you're really pushing up through your foot to facilitate that kind of movement.
Through here.
So you'll see people that lift weights, let's say, and do this very isolated because they believe that's where my strength comes from. And yes, if I do an isolated muscle movement, yes, I can very quickly say I have a 20% increase in muscle mass. That still does not create a functional movement. I can do this till the cows come home, and this is what the astronauts do. It does not help their body. It'll give them mass.
I
but
understand this.
but it doesn't
But-
get function.
But
So,
that's-
so to say that the actual movement comes from here, it's actually the interaction of contractions that are happening within the arm, and this is where the weakness is, and therefore the arm bends. But you can lay here all day long, you cannot tighten these ligaments to a point where you're moving them. You're either manipulating muscles here or here, right? So when you're saying, yes, I can start a movement from here, and this will hopefully be included in that action, and that's what we're after, but I'm saying I don't believe that movement can originate from this point in your body.
Ah,
Does that make sense?
yes, that's why violin is so sick.
Right, so your violin is not only the interaction really of, and that's what I'm saying, you will use muscles that nobody else uses because your relationship to all of these, to whether you're doing this kind of movement,
Or that.
right?
Yeah.
I don't do this movement, this is just for most people not a functional movement.
No.
I'm not gonna bale hay by doing this kind of, but you're constantly working with these, and now, so, obviously I don't go this way, so this is where, so the bulk of your muscle mass interacting is here. And especially below the bicep when you're playing
Also
with the
bone.
violin.
Everyone talks about the elbow, the elbow, the elbow, the elbow.
Yeah, the elbow is just a visual, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Most actions that people are looking at are the visual action. I'm trying to show you where the movement comes from. So when you're doing something like that, like I said, now, if I was doing this, I would probably be using more bicep work. But because you need these fine motor skills, you're going into these way little muscles that most people don't even play with. So when I work with someone like you, and this is what I was trying to say here, that I have to approach a little bit different than a child that's playing with me, let's say. Now coming down, there's just a little bit of staccato. So now my efforts are in her rotary cuff. So Stuart,
Rotary cuff.
or I can just work on Fred then too.
So, yeah, you have, well, rotary cuff
Ro-
normally consists
rotor
of
cuff, yeah.
four muscles, one here, one here, two here actually, and then one there as well. So,
Well, what I was looking to do is if when you move, maybe I should just work on Fred. When you move the shoulder, first of all, the humerus is not a straight bone. And by the way, if you notice too on Fred, do you see where the two bone structure comes in? So if we did not have two bones in the forearms or in the lower legs, to me those are like rudders in a boat. This is where you get that counteracting through here. If we did not have the two bone system, we would be really stick figures. And we wouldn't have that, that you see in ice skating or skiing, that kind of paddling through air, just like we do with the sit bones. The same with the lower legs. If we would just be more like this. And that's what happens too a lot with CP, because the two bones become one. And you get more of the, here, you see too with autism and stuff, where they start going into these kind of moves, right? Versus that being able to have, again, power beyond their bodies. Sorry to keep touching you and not touching you, but that's the...
So when you say that with autism or CP, then you go and you work a lot with the pelvis, right?
I work a lot with the pelvis because, and I'll show you this again with Oscar, because when the baby first comes out, that absolute horizon is that mechanism where the pelvis and the head sort of synchronize and counter at the same time, right? So what happens with autism is somehow there's a glitch in that system. And it doesn't have to be neurological, because that's why it's now, autism is now 1 in 45 versus 1 in 3,000. We're changing not only the birth processes, but then we've got stuff that we put them in. So if there's a glitch, now I put a baby in a car seat a couple hours too long in the day, or that's where they're sleeping and such, now that glitch becomes a deviation, right, into where their movement is. So, deviation to their life skills.
Oh, back.
Yeah, you're starting to deviate from their milestone achievements, right? It's one thing, Anne can sit there and go, okay, I like what Michelle's telling me. At 10 o'clock tonight, I'm going to practice this in bed. Okay, so she can schedule a time to work on her self-improvement, right? But if a child, especially a baby, if that's that moment, they decide they're gonna reach for that bouncy toy you put above them in the car seat, right? But I'm at that 33-degree angle, my head's back, I'm worried about my swallow. I cannot oppose two forces. So I'm looking at that thing that you're saying, I can somehow accomplish that task by batting it, and my brain goes, you know, but it seems like the way that raptor is, it looks close, right? Because this is baby vision, and this is what I'm trying to show you. I know that thing's about 12 feet away from me, right? But at the same time, if a baby's looking at that for the first time, you know, it's like the joke, I squish your head. Well, I'm not squishing your head. Oh yeah, big Canadian. So, but anyway, I might think I'm trying to get it because I've got this toy above me, in which I've shown you all week. Make it successful. Bring it closer. Don't bring it away. What? But no, I'm just saying to you how autism would happen because of movement. Right? So a baby's not going to go, wow, I tried to get that yesterday. I'm going to try again today. I'm going to work on those skills. So if I go to touch that and I'm unsuccessful, or I don't get that cause and effect, I'm not going to go back there tomorrow or even in 20 minutes. You know, and that's where the brain starts making those deviations. Now, did he not play with that toy because he couldn't see it? Right? Yes, no?
No. Yeah, absolutely no.
No. I didn't know if I was going off topic to what you were saying.
Yeah, it didn't answer my question.
So saying previously there was like a slight problem, and because of the way we're not moving into starting saying, well, there's not enough free play, there's more time in car seats. Something that was a slight problem now becomes more.
Yeah, but that was not my question.
Right.
My question was.
So when you have a child though with autism, what I'm trying to say is you need to start examining their system. What life experiences did they not get that they're leading into that? So yes, the pelvis is always my go-to place for anyone, because I want to see how everything's coming into, to me that's the movement brain. This is her brain and this is the movement brain. So I want to see how all the extremities are coming into the hub in a sense. So I do go after the pelvis, but there are way different forms of autism that...
I know that because the food and the sugar definitely plays a role in...
Well, sugar has a certain rotation, and as the books are Eat for Your Type, what if we can prove that based off of your internal rotation and the food that you're putting in, that you're eating a different process of rotation? Because all the proteins rotate within going into the system. Yes. I didn't realize that, but yes, a sugar molecule rotates different than a protein molecule within your system when you're digesting. And I was just curious that if I move a certain way, like where they have that famous book, Eat for Your Type, that you eat a certain blood type, you know, if you have A positive, this is what you eat versus your O. Is it really based off of how you process the rotation of the foods? How are you going to assimilate the nutrition based off of, you know? But I'm telling you now, my son eats two things. And I would have loved to have done the Dan protocol and the diet elimination, but it was either that or get a G2. And it's really, I do not go into nutrition and those kind of things with a lot of parents, especially right off the bat, because they're exhausted and some of them have tried everything. I wiped out my whole house to go gluten-free because that was going to be the answer to his problems. But again, it ended up being a massive infection, which was also causing the autism. So, you know, and if nobody was finding the infection, so it's easy to say change food, but really my son lives off of pizza and chicken tenders, which I know is god-awful. It's my biggest regret that I didn't G-tube him, that I can't put in fish oils and spinach and kale. But now his potassium levels are too high and I can't even get pizza in. So now I'm just down to chicken tenders, you know.
But was that the question? No. Yeah.
Okay, so again, so what's the question? So you're upset, so what's the question?
No. I mean, I'm overwhelmed by all the words. And it's like I lost my train of mind. But that's all right. I'll catch back.
Okay.
Kale is not a health food, by the way.
Kale?
Kale.
This is not argument of nutrition, I'm not going there.
I'm not talking about nutrition.
No, she did.
I argued.
I don't argue.
Yeah, you get a 3-year-old to pump back fried liver and kidneys. I have good luck with that
No, not just a 3-year-old. Fried kidneys. Ooh. So.
one. So anyway, despite all of this and the gabbing away, Anne's arm's quite happy. So one of the things that I'm working on, I'll show with Fred, is you really have to look at someone's organization of shoulders, right? So if a child is on their back a bit too much, and I'm not saying, again, when I say that, it's not the parent's fault, it's not. If they're low tone, on their back and so forth, they've had open heart surgeries, there are many different ways that happen, but, and if I lie down, my my shoulders are almost into my ears because I'm so soft lying down. So tone has a lot to do with it. But the placement of someone's shoulders. Now her shoulders are actually quite nice in midline. You're going to have people that are presenting more here. Okay? And if that's the case, I go to them. Okay, but what I'm looking for here, very similar to the trochanter, I'm looking for the shoulder to flag midline this way and this way. Right?
And by shoulder here, do you mean the
actual top of the shoulder, the humerus bone?
Yeah.
But like I said, I think I'll put Fred on the table just to see if he'll cooperate. So one of the ways of, see, I'm rotating that elbow, now that she has, quote, nice movement, I don't get someone on the table and start going, okay, let's see where your shoulder's at. Sorry. But I'm just looking to see how that rotation happens, and see the wrist, and you saw this yesterday with Vanessa. This is one of the things I was saying with her, I can only get to back here with her hands, versus how, you know, it's just like a dance. It's like you're dancing with someone. You want that continuous, so I look for that crossing midline here, but I'm also looking for midline here. Now I'm going to teach you this.
Midline along the humerus.
Midline right now across the chest cavity, and that she's flagging crossing this way. So see how she's coming over the middle of the chest, the side of chest, and then back. Alright? Now I'm going to teach you this today, but don't jump. This is what I call catching the fish. And I'm just going in. And you know how you go fly fishing? Any of you ever fish, or at least see it?
Yep.
You don't sit there and grab a fish, right? Because a fish will go one way. So you sit there and you have to coax the line. So this is only after where you get nice and organized, and I'll be bringing, right? Notice I'm not looking to still bring in her whole back and see how much she's getting out of this lesson. I'm just looking almost to separate the whole shoulder girdle from the body, but I will be teaching you this. So today, after we break up, when are we at? We'll have Oscar and then the break, but you can either work with someone's hand this way, or again, now that I've done the elbow, and then I can come down to the hand kind of thing, or you're going to take the elbow and you're just going to feel what it's like to have the arm and look for that weight transfer. Weight transfer, I can get into two here, dropping the elbow, above and below the wrist, all these different ways of letting, in a sense, her float in your system. But again, notice how I'm down, I'm around. I'm not sitting here going, see again, see how that becomes very linear, right? And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see how she has an arm in space, what I can do to offer her this movement. One of the things you will see with autism, though, is they really do not have a functional peripheral vision. And because of their lack of peripheral vision, you will see that the hands don't act in that way either. So it's looked at, you know, I was taught, why can't an autistic child point? Because they can't do this to do this. It's not about sticking one finger out, it's about withholding the other four. But why can't they point? Because of the lack of rotation. So one of the things you'll see is right now, for the most part, field of vision is about here for the majority of people with autism. Not all of them, but you will see. So they have tunnel vision. That's why they get into just trains and nothing else, or that kind of thing, because they don't know that this exists beyond that. But if we all sit there and practice with tunnel vision, guess what? I'm not sitting there looking at my hands doing anything like this. It's not in my psyche. So you'll see more of this kind of movements as they're coming in and out of the field of vision, right? Versus this kind of thing. So stimming, if they go into a big stim, again, see how where the hands are. And this becomes an ocular stim, let's say. Or if they're here doing this, see how they're placing the hands. Upper quadrant vision isn't sophisticated. Like I know Stuart came around, but you will not see, oh, you know, he came to look at me. Sorry, I'm going this way, but sometimes you all have to move. I was sort of doing this more to see if the camera picks up on it. And so, and I'll do that kind of thing, but see, I haven't looked at this hand yet. I'll go around, I still haven't looked at her, I haven't looked at, you know, oh, I might see her shoes, kind of thing. So I get distracted in what looks like weird objects, or, you know, like, I don't know why they keep looking at, you know, they find these, there's nothing wrong with his vision, he finds all this little stuff on the paper on the floor. Well, that's the only place he's looking at, and then I see this little thing on the floor, and, you know, I want to go get at it. But I'm certainly not playing with you or exploring with you. So, again, the biggest thing that I go after with that is really just to see where the vision is at. Now, I can say I don't have upper quadrant vision, but can I do that? I do mention this a lot. Binocular vision, okay? Binocular vision means both eyes work together. All of us are actually looking like this to people, and we move our eyes around like that. If I have both eyes out, it looks more like this.
Drunk.
See, so I see two of you because my eyes are actually straight, right? So that's what that looks like. I'm very good at moving my eyes in and out of socket. So, and that's what it looks like. So if you see someone, right, and they're doing this, you know, like right now I've got like 35 people here because you're all double. So what is nice about binocular vision, and how you check this is with convergence.
Yeah.
So what it is you're just doing this and the eyes go together and then they come out, right? But what you might see is this, where the one eye comes in and the other one stays out. You see that? And so they get to about, so here, so one eye stays out as they look at the object, and then they come back in together. So what you want to find out is where is her field. So what's nice about strabismus and all those kind of things is, or cross-eyed, at least you have a field this way. So you find that field, and for some people, where I can see one pen is here, right? But if I get here, you know, they look away, they don't see it anymore. So you find where their visual field is, and that you just learn with play. So it's hard to dangle. They might see this, it doesn't mean they know where to look. Then you'll see kids grabbing here, right? But not here. But are they grabbing here because they see a pen here because they're seeing double? So just because a child's being unsuccessful, is it a physical manifestation that, again, one little glitch is turned into a giant, you know? But if they have exotropia or the eye goes out, guess what? I will never have any kind of field of vision. I always have this. So now you have to, that's a much more of a patching situation. In the US, patching can only be done by an ophthalmologist suggesting it. They'll patch usually the stronger eye to bring, okay, usually I can only pull out my right eye. So my eye is out here, right? And I'm doing this. So what they'll do is patch this side. Oh, now I only have one of you first of all, right? And now you work with it. But I've also found that you patch actually with the strong and the good eye. So the brain has that opportunity to go, even though this is my strong eye, I might be here with my quadrant and it might force me to bring my eyes up a bit more as well, you know. But again, that will be something that an eye doctor would work out. But I say that, in India, good luck with that one. In India, it's all about acuity, everything else, forget about it. They'll outgrow it. And at 5, and they still need glasses. Meanwhile, this kid's just, you know.
Blind.
Yeah.
There's some great YouTube stuff you put out
Oh,
on vision to look at. My feeling is with adults, just based on my own experiences, you know, you said we all have binocular vision here, but it's actually with adults often, often they use of the eye, they're switching. I've got one eye that's, you know, different acuity than the other. And quite often, I can feel that actually I'm not looking so binocular. I'm really relying on one eye a lot of the time, and it switches. And
Well, not only that, but too, with adults, if their peripheral vision starts going, they're 80 times more likely for Alzheimer's. Because Alzheimer's and autism is almost identical in your physical manifestations. Yeah, you'll see a severe reduction in peripheral vision, reduction in gait, and reduction in power. They don't like to eat. If you start saying to your grandfather, let's go have Mexican food, and they're used to Friday, that they're chicken and dumpling, they go for blander, more processed diet, not a good sign. Because the palate is very close to the motor cortex, and that's what you see too with autism. Autistic kids just don't eat.
I just wanted to ask about patching, because I have a girl who's about 10, and she had cross-eyed, and then she had a patch, and now her eyes won't work together at all.
Well, the problem is with patching, you can't just patch and say have it, especially given a tablet or television, or go in the car. You know what I mean? Like, it's bad enough the world's coming at you, but when you only have one eye, you know, if you're going to patch, you have to turn around and do therapy right then and with the patching. That's not something you just go and just let them go run amok at the playground when you're patched. Because you have no depth perception when you only have one eye. When you only have one eye working, you don't have binocular vision, you have no depth perception. So one of the telltale signs is like, so see how those steps are black and it goes to a birch? So like my son, anytime there was a change of color, because he had no depth perception, he would actually have to go, like if this was a curb to the street, he would actually go like this and go down it like, you know, like it's 2 feet away. And then he could get up and go. And that's really a good telltale sign of the eyes not working together. And if you go to 10 and then just starting to patch too, it could be that the eyes already been turned off by the brain.
Yeah, no, it was quite a while ago she had the patch, and now she's finding very hard to get around.
Would you, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
would you like, if you had
You can see Oscars.
that, wouldn't you kind of play with different objects to help her in, you know, kind of close up then?
I have done some of that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That, did it help?
A little bit, but yeah.
The brain will usually turn off the eye by anywhere from the age 2 to 4 if nobody's interfering with it properly. And it will actually shut down. And once it's shut down, for the most part, you can't get the vision back. You'll actually be made legally blind and the eye will shut off. But what people don't realize when I say that, they think it's the whole eye. It might just be left field vision, you know, like a section of the eye where, sort of like macular, which is also could be a problem.
Oh, it could be like macular degeneration.
No, you know how like macular, you lose central line vision? That's what macular is, when the eye starts to break down. So the macular is the back of the eyeball starts to deteriorate. This is where it happens with people of age,
Yeah.
or also for genetics. So, but it's sort of like that center line goes, so I can't see you, but I can see the rest. So you start chasing, like, okay, like I can see you out of the corner of my eye, so now I wanna go here, but now you're gone, right? So let's say if I've had a right side stroke, if I was a child, people see the spasticity in the hand and the foot, well, the visual field's gone here as well. So you wanna kick that in with the babies, especially if you know they've had stroke in utero, cause otherwise they will never get it. And so even though the eye works and I can see you, this, let's say left side field vision, cause that a right side stroke is gone. And so if you're cross-eyed, the brain will pick the more dominant eye or the eye that's working, let's say, in some cases. And to see better with the good eye, it will actually start to turn off the other eyeball from working.
Not here yet.
Well,
He'll be still got 5 minutes.
Anne has a lovely arm, and I don't want to keep doing this because she's going to walk out of here like this.
Michelle,
As you can see, sorry, one second. Just as you can see though, even though I talked and did other things, I still worked on her, and I worked on her for this long. This is one thing I've tried, and I was like, oh, if I was told to only do it for 3 minutes, what happens if you do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know? And for folks that if your child's sleeping in bed, and this is all that you do, but you have this nice, see now I don't have to use 2 hands, this nice supple movement, you know, why wouldn't it cross into their brain barrier and go in there and they, you know, a lot of things you'll hear like from Oscar that's coming in, sleeping better through the night, all those kind of things because, you know, the startles or all those kind of things, you know, can you imagine if the arm is sort of jumping off the table every time they move in their sleep? Well, no wonder a baby's waking up every hour and a half, that kind of thing. So you really can't do enough of a movement. Yes, I might have to balance her out, whoever works on her, please don't pick this arm, go on the other arm. But, you know, she's used to the work too, so she'll assimilate it, but, so with that, sorry, go ahead.
so I just wanted to ask about your mayonnaise jar hold here. We're not,
Right.
Are we covering? We're not
We
covering
will,
that?
but not
okay,
in this
yeah,
lesson.
Okay, yeah.
So since Oscar's not here yet, why don't I ask you to get off and I'll put Fred on the table and go from there. Sorry to combine arms with vision, but, yeah, I was, like I said, was going into, and I really don't know of anyone in this field that deals with functional vision like I do. I've seen a lot of it, and I work with it daily in my practice. I really do. It's just fascinating.
Michelle, and if you say if one eye is looks straight and another is like that, for example, so this is like this or like this, yeah? You can find that
The convergence field. Yeah.
and then to walk from here. So to
Right.
walk from this place here.
Right, where they're seeing, so everybody do this, so everybody stick a finger in front of their face, right? So now this finger takes dominance, let's say than me saying Daphne right now, right? Does that make sense? So y'all probably, so look at the finger but see me. So you see how I'm there but I'm not there?
Yeah.
And also right now I see 2 Daphnes, right?
Yeah.
Right, you see 2 me, that's your visual field, right? So I have 1 finger to you. So now everybody go cross-eyed. Right? Now, how would you like right now if I had dangling beads in front of my face or a black and white bead, you know what I mean? And I was just learning how to see. So what happens? It's just, you know, you just get like, so try and look at, even though they're infants, put yourself into their shoes. Now, some people are long-sighted in the one eye I've mentioned and short-sighted here. So Cupcake does that. So to look at you, I might be here with my right eye, but to look at you, I might go with my left eye because that I can't see farther with this eye. So, and she's learned to just move her eyes around if she doesn't have her contacts in. By the way, you can get babies contacts, so I didn't know that, but yeah, you can.
But they will also affect the movement because they will feel like.
Yes, but the vision's gonna affect your movement, wait for it, you know.
Oscar's here.
Yes. So let me quickly, Oscar's here, so let me quickly just show you what I've been doing. So he's not gonna, see how he wants to put his hand out, so he won't be completely amicable, but if you look at what here, there's a little wrench going in, and it grabs the humerus. And so any movement I make will start torquing that humerus. The humerus also has a little curve to it, very similar to the femur, and that's where you've got the analogous parts here. But when I'm working with the shoulder, similar to the trochanter, it's not as obvious, but what I'm doing here, see, is I'm just looking to flag that shoulder. And see how, and weight transfer around the elbow. But the other way that I do it, and he won't do it as nicely because he's all, but I'll try and cross midline with the shoulder and midline this way. So if I go that way, he's gonna rock and roll his whole body. But I'm just looking for, again, that shoulder to flag like a flag. But really when I'm in here, I'm just looking to see where that rotor cuff is going. Because again, I'm not taking someone and expecting them to do a full circle. And I won't do that until I know the whole hand can rotate around and come back, as well as that twisting in the arm, before I start going for full on. And to me, I look at that more of a parlor trick, or when someone really needs to know that they have full shoulder function. But see how, do you see how the humerus twists this way, right? If I go that way? So you might want to come around and play with Fred that way. But I'm just in there looking to see how I've got the pointy side up, excuse me. That's where I'm not going into my anatomy and you don't care. But see how I'm doing that, and I'm almost like taking a sheet of paper and going around. And then what I do here is my figure eight. But I can do my figure eight anywhere. And for those of you who don't know, there's quite a field of fascia tissue I can show you on my app. And this is where I go in and just lightly, that I did yesterday with Vanessa, to make sure that she had that rotation through all of that. One of the few places I really specifically do a fascia tissue specific to make sure that that's all there. And especially where it was mentioned yesterday, scar tissue burns, people have had surgeries in here, that really interrupts that blood flow within that fascia tissue, especially if someone's been cast at any time in their life. You know, the whole thing with any kind of surgeries, like I said before, is to take away the rotation. That's surgery recovery. But most people then aren't told, okay, you're back now, you can continue with rotation. I had a woman in my office and she goes, I can't go up steps, I had a knee replacement. He's dead, we'll set him Froster. And I said, oh, how long ago was your knee replacement? I expected her to say a couple of months ago. And she's like, let me think, I think like 4 years ago. Nobody ever told her she was healed and she can go upstairs again. For 4 years, she was told don't do stairs. And nobody turned off the on switch again. Or she didn't hear it. So please, I know you're getting a lot of my words and a lot of tidbits, again, that might be really interesting to you and not so much, but later on, oh my gosh, what did she say? But I'm trying to dump my brain out as best as I can for you guys to get it in 7 days. And we've covered a lot. Please go home and actually sleep for a day.